We have Kevin Oleszewski, VP Wealth Strategist at PNC Wealth Management. He is a Newman alum. So we're going to talk about his experience coming from Newman, going and getting his first internship, and then what he did to understand the ins and outs of internal networking. It's not external networking, so it's a little different here in terms of the delivery and the execution of how you're going to network. Everybody always thinks networking to get a job. You already have that job when you're internal networking. It's now how to rise and create a career out of the network that is really next to you in an office or at the same cafe for lunch. And this is really the best way to create a career out of a job. So I'm going to pass this off to Kevin. He's going to tell you about everything that has happened from his graduation at Newman to where he is now.
Thanks, Kevin. I really appreciate the time to be able to talk about this. This is extremely important for everybody's career on how to really network internally the correct way, right? As you said, I started as an internship through Newman that I got, but unfortunately, when I was there at UBS interning, I didn't do much internal networking, and that's what I really found out. When I went to when I moved on to Merrill Lynch after that, I really didn't have any more contacts than when I did a year ago. So what I started doing when I was at Merrill was talking to the more senior advisors. What are you guys doing? What roles would you are in here that maybe somebody like I would like? And they would give me, hey, maybe you want to be this, maybe you want to do this, maybe you want to do that. But nothing really materialized, right? I was trying to build my book. They were trying to build their book, or maintain their book, depending on what part of the career they were in. So then I moved over to Wells Fargo. After being successful at Wells, I moved over to at Merrill Lynch. I moved over to Wells Fargo. Same thing. So I started talking to my manager. Hey, look, I want your job whenever time comes, right? Where you move on, I want to be able to put myself in a position to do your job, right? I see myself as a manager, then a district manager, and then a regional manager, right? And they're like, okay, great. Here's some things you need to do, right? So then I talked to him. Then when he left, and they got a new one, because it was only within 6 months. So obviously I wasn't ready to take that role. I asked him, okay, what'd you do? And stuff like that. So I built that network there, which led me into my first real promotion, I would say, as a private banker at Wells Fargo's private bank. Where they recruited me internally. Why? Because I networked internally. They said, hey, we have this opening. Do you know anybody? Yes, we know Kevin. He's very good at what he does. So I moved into there. Wasn't the right fit for me, which is nobody's fault, but then I moved back to being a broker. And that was building my book again. And I started talking to one of the bankers. Very similar role than what I had. I was like, yeah, I really want to maybe move into pure planning role, not so much sales. First thing was, right, you have to trust the person that they're not going to go tell everybody, hey, Kevin's looking for something different. So I built that trust that with her that she really wasn't going to say anything, and then she got me in touch with a senior wealth planner at Wells Fargo. So I started talking to him about his job and what certifications he has and what I need to do. And I said, well, look, I'm interested in getting a master's in taxation from Villanova. He said, great. I went to that program. It's a great program. Go there or don't go anywhere. Was his philosophy. So I said, great. So I applied there. He goes, but you got to talk to my manager. I'm like, great, right? So I actually had lunch, talked to him on the phone a couple times, and they said, how do we link up for lunch? I don't have any openings now, but down the line I might have something where where your experience and everything might fit. So we went to lunch and we talked and what I wanted to do, and I had my CFP at this time, finished the IRS enrolled agent designation as well. Wasn't enrolled at Villanova yet, but I was in that plan. And then come to find out, a couple months later, when I was actually interviewing here, wealth planner job opened at Wells. So I interviewed with him. It was a little bit more senior than what I was really what my experience was, but he still gave me an interview because he wanted to give me that shot.
Right.
And it came down to me and one other person. Who, they had a lot more experience and they were a lawyer with an LLM, so.
Okay, so having not done that internal networking, you might not even have had that opportunity to interview.
No, I would not.
So, you mentioned a couple things that I want to bring up again, and it really comes down to going in for the kill, let's call it that. So, you asked two good questions, and you brought up a point that I really want to, reiterate here, is asking, right? Saying, I want to do what you want to do. How can I do that? Or how can I be you? How can I take your role? That's a ballsy question, right? It's one of those things like, how do I feel comfortable and how do I know when to go in for the kill? And then, how do I know when to ask that person to feel comfortable that they're not going to blab to everybody else about my aspirations, about my career goals, and make me kind of look like I have other visions than being here. That I want to have a career for myself, and it's not always with this in mind. So how do you do that? How do you find that moment? You mentioned creating trust, or
Yeah, I mean, it's just having conversations over time where you give it a little bit more information, right? You
not dump it all.
not dump it all at once, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a hourglass, if you think
Okay.
about it, right? You tip it over and it slowly comes out,
Yeah.
right? Well, at some point it runs out, right? At some point you fully trust somebody.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not saying I fully trust everybody, right? But trust enough to go, hey, look, I kind of want to do something different, and I think you can help me. Would you mind helping me? Everybody who I came across to is like, as long as you're not saying I want your job tomorrow,
Right.
they're okay with it.
Yeah.
Right? I positioned it like when I told my boss I wanted his job. I said, I want your job in like 5-10 years.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, great. He goes, but I don't want my job in 5-10 years. Like
Right.
because I don't want my job in 5 or 10 years. I want somebody
else's. Yeah.
So, coming at it softly but firmly, at the same time is really a key.
Yeah, and I think the hourglass thing kind of tells us that although you might feel this anxiety and urgency in your own brain and body, and you're saying, I want to climb, I want to make serious money, I want to do what my friends are doing, I want to go on this vacation, and to do that I need X amount of money. You have to kind of understand that this is a building block,
Sure.
and to get somewhere. And the best way to understand that is to talk to people, and internally you understand their path and their career and how it went, and know you can either do something similar or learn from their mistakes. I think you've done a great job with kind of understanding, I might have to go get this degree, I might have to take this class, I might have to learn from this person.
Yep. What one big thing I saw internally in networking is seeing what those senior planners have, right?
Yes.
They got law degrees, they got LLM, which is a master's in tax on the law side, or they have a CPA, or they have a master's in tax along with the CFP. So I'm like, okay, so I need a law degree, which I don't really feel like going back to full school, right?
Right.
For a law degree, I probably have to quit my job, and I'm not ready to do that.
Right.
Or go get a master's in tax. That's exactly what I did. I'm doing a
Right.
part-time, master's in tax program right now.
Yeah, I think this is a great thing to take away, which is the learning doesn't stop once you get the job. Kevin's a prime example of learning with the coworkers he has, with the people he's really built trust with, both internally and then people, I guess if he leaves a job, he can always still talk to these people. So I think he's done a really good job to just kind of create that learning atmosphere for himself, and it doesn't stop when you get the job. So thank you, Kevin. Hope you guys learned a lot from this. Kevin, being a Newman alum, will always keep his doors open,
Yes.
and he's always available on LinkedIn, so I want you guys to use him to your advantage.
Yes.
Thank you.
Find me on LinkedIn.
Take care.